I wanted to do a shootout, a shootout type of video and see which shelter is the best. I think we know which is going to win, but we're still gonna give it a crack. So the first shelter. So one of the first things that we need to do is to time how long it takes. We're in our usual spot on Dartmoor. I checked this shelter last night before leaving, which is just as well I did, because I didn't have the pegs for it or the pole. This isn't necessarily going to be an exact time. I'm checking the video, but it will give us an approximate. So let's just check that the ground is flat underneath. Put the poles in the holes, as the actress said to the bishop. Pop the end in there. I'm just a bit tight getting it in the hole there. Don't really have that problem. A very basic setup, about 10 minutes. So, and we just tighten these up here, just to tighten that, and that's it. So that took about 13 minutes. So we might just have to add a minute here, and then we can just open it up. Right. I think I did the door up wrong there. Let's try this way. Alright, so that's the door there. We can open it up. That's opened up and ready to get inside in less than 15 minutes. Realistically, that was probably, you know, just over 10 minutes, but 10 to 15 minutes easy. You are set up with the AKTO. Okay, well, can anyone guess? You already know from the title what the next shelter will be. Well, we better whip it out quickly, get my massive long erection pole out ready, because I've got a whopper. So I'm going to get my whopper out now. We've set the marker for this one. What shelter would a normal sane person put up against the AKTO? Well, you'd probably put something of a similar size. Obviously, I'm not normal and sane. So what does this massive pole indicate that we're going to be challenging? What are we going to challenge the AKTO with? If you haven't guessed already, and if the title of the video didn't give the game away, and if the size of my massive eye-watering pole didn't give the game away, I might actually just move it further back, to be honest. I will say that's probably one thing with the AKTO, it's maybe easier to know exactly where you're positioning everything. Am I overdoing this mighty erection business? You're very soon going to see the mighty Supermid erection. I really did bring both of these shelters for just me for tonight, well, and tomorrow night. Normally, of course, when you do the zip up, do the poppers up first, but as there's no tension on the zip, it's okay to do it this way. I just redid that because the last the last clip, it wasn't completely, the top wasn't completely in the frame. I think I'm talking more with this one as well, which might take a little bit longer. I believe tomorrow there's going to be a northerly wind and think it's going to be chilly too. The back end is quite close to the ground. As I say, I believe it's going to be quite cool tomorrow, so I'm going to pitch the back quite close to the ground. Haven't quite got a good shape on that, have I? It's very strange. Let's just loosen that one off there. Right, that's better. Alright, that's a better shape. So, I don't know if we can do an ease of pitching, but obviously the AKTO does score marginally higher on that, but we've nearly done the outside. I've actually probably pitched it a fraction lower than I sometimes might, and of course when you want this shelter to win this particular battle, because let's face it, we all know what's actually going to win this, but it would be good if I actually pitched it marginally better up front. It just shows that, you know, it is like a fair comparison though, because it does show that you do, you know, you've just got to spend an extra few minutes, you know, just getting, you know, a few bits right, but it's very minor really. And to be honest, even in a storm or something like that, you know, it's it doesn't really take too much longer, because we're going to pitch this side lower to the ground as well. So that's the outside of the Supermid pitched. So let's check time. That took about 17. So of course, to get inside you have to open the door. No, my pole's not quite straight, so as I say, if it was raining, you have got so much room. Okay, and then that's the ground sheet position there. That's all I'm going to do, I think, for that. I'm just going to close up the door. So I'm going to use the AKTO tonight, and then the Supermid tomorrow night. I think I just need to do one small adjustment on the pegging of the AKTO as well, which is probably going to take about 10 minutes, probably say like 20 seconds, which is going to take about half an hour, which means that the Supermid is quicker to pitch. The AKTO is just pitched about that way. I just need to shorten that one and lengthen that one there. So, you know, very clearly that slight thing is going to take about half of an hour. And because it's going to take half an hour, the Supermid wins the pitching round. So 1-0 1-0 to the 1-0 to the Supermid. How was sleep? I have to say that sleep was very good, because once you're lying down sleeping, you are pretty much, you know, cocooned. Cocoon for you're caffeinated, cocooned, whatever else for for life. So I will say that sleeping was good. Mind you, I needed a lot of sleep. I always sleep better the first night of 2 nights, so it's kind of going to be interesting to, you know, compare. Obviously there's no real drafts in here, because I normally wouldn't do the door up, but because it's winter and I put Lassie here because I wanted to have room here if it rained and I didn't know anything about it. I didn't want it getting, you know, freezing cold and wet, so I did do the door up last night, which normally I would leave the door open. So I wore pretty much every single one of my layers inside this -5 bag which I brought today. So I just wanted to see if I could get away with a -5 bag when it gets down to about, well, I think we had a frost, and wearing all of this I, you know, just about did. Headroom. So you can clearly see that headroom here, my head is touching the roof, and I'm in a slightly Yodified position. Arms, well, I can move my arm to the shoulder, the elbow, shoulder. I can move my arm to the elbow, that side, and that side I can, well, I can stretch my arm when I put my arm down. You know, if I put my arm down, I can stretch my arm out there. Clearly up here, there's a 45-degree arm thing. Front and back, we've got, you know, plenty of room for feet. My feet are off the mat a bit, it's sliding down somewhat, and you know, in this position there's, you know, there's enough headroom here. I have to say, when you get up, my head tends to brush it all the way up potentially, or it pretty much does really, but you know, there's, for lying down and for sleeping, I have to say there's, you know, there is enough room for lying down and sleeping. The next thing to test in Tony's testing video, it's going to be a testing video too, I think, this. Cooking. So you have got room here to cook, but you will notice I've just put my boots here because I've got the cellar with me. I put the rucksack in the cellar. Now, of course, the rucksack that I brought is absolutely, you know, is big, and I don't think you'd ever get that rucksack in this porch. When I've used this shelter before, I've usually used an MLD pack or something like that, because this does fit in the MLD packs. You know, it does pack down reasonably small. So, but because of bringing so much, I brought a bigger pack. So of course I have to say I've got less bits in the porch area, because, as I say, I had the pack is in the other shelter. So, you know, for doing what I needed to do, cooking, Lassie, and everything else like that, there was, you know, there's enough room in here. So obviously I'm using the AKTO because this is the only one-man shelter, you know, that I have. But I'm sure any one-man shelter is going to be very, very similar in spaciousness or lack of spaciousness inside. Let's see. Look at the creeping lurgy you are. Let's see. Oh, let's see. You're going to be on camera too, is that it? She's a little devil. Let's see, still there. Patting for New Zealand watcher. Right, space-wise, inside, well, you've got this, this little bit of room here, which is just, you know, an edge. You've got enough room to put bits. I call it the edge. It's surprisingly, though, again, you know, you don't bring a ton of things, so, you know, there is enough room, you know, in here. So, you know, if someone is stupid, I mean, if someone wants a coffin, you know, wants something small and cramped. Oh, poor tent. Poor tent. Hurt its feelings now. But if someone wants, shh, don't listen, close your ears. But if someone wants something, you know, small and cramped and coffinated and everything, you know, like that, but wants a tent, you know, if you want a tent that's completely enclosed with little to no drafts, and then obviously, you know, they're very nice, you know, they're it's he's squished down. You know, obviously I know the trail style would be, you know, can be, you know, a bit lower as well. That's why I tend to use the Supermid so much now. But you know, I mean, the tent is nice. It does its job of, you know, sheltering you when you're sleeping. Because let's face it, most of the time you're only in here when you're sleeping. You might need to do some cooking in here, which you can do. You know, there is enough room to cook. Some people even bring their dog inside, and then of course if you did that you'd have even more room, you know, in the porch. I've never ever been one, and I can't see I will ever be a dog inside on my sleeping bag kind of person. So, you know, dog stays out. Dog stays out there. Another thing to test is how easy the door is to do up. So I have to say the door in this one is pretty straightforward. It is wet, so obviously if it is very, very wet, there is, you know, a slight danger of water getting in, but you know, that was relatively easy. The only real downside is the when you have the door open, because the zip is up here, the door just sort of drops straight down in this space here, and if it's wet, you know, it has a high probability of splashing water all over you. But you have got an air vent there where you can have some airflow. I did open the vents last night at each end, front and back. You can just see them there. But they're of course on the they're on the outside, not on the inside. So when this yellow material is like done up, you're pretty much cocooned inside this yellow stuff. Oh no, there is this little vent up here, which you can just open there. Alright, so I think what we'll do is we'll head over to the winner, I mean to the challenger, and we'll do some more video over that. Something else that's worth covering, just moving things from in here. Bearing in mind I had to get a few things from back there and you know, things like that. So just moving things. So let's say for argument's sake, just this camera, something as simple as this camera is in here. I've got to pick it up and then I got to crawl backwards, my head out, and then I've got to stand up there like that. I'm so too bloody old for this. And then, well, when we come over here, we can just so kind of like we can walk half in. We can walk halfway in, just you know, a slight duck of the head, and then we've got plenty of room. And then we've got plenty of room to move around in here. You know, I can stand up to some degree. I will say the sil nylon, it must be the cut, the sil nylon Supermid you can actually stand up in. It must be something to do with the cut of this or something like that, but the sil nylon version you can actually stand up in. So just getting things out of the AKTO and into the Supermid is difficult. It would actually be much easier to get things in and out of the Supermid by 1,000,000%. Obviously from ease of getting into and out of and moving things in and out, clearly the Supermid wins, you know, that one. So I think that makes it 2-0 to the Supermid. Obviously now in here we've just got, you know, an absolute ton of space. So to try and make sure my sleeping bag doesn't sort of disappear in that direction, I've put the thing there. But actually thinking about it, last night my head was going in that direction, so actually I think I'm going to take the rucksack and put it at this end to make sure I don't slide down the hill. So that's one thing I'll do. If you do have drafts in a place like this, you can of course use a rucksack or items of bags and things like that to plug, you know, little gaps if necessary. But I'm not too worried about drafts, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Obviously when you're in the AKTO you are pretty much insulated from the weather elements, you know. Certainly wind is kept out. If it was very, very windy, then I think the sides would be blowing in on you, because this is still a soft shelter, but it certainly keeps breezes out, which of course this won't, because of course you have, you know, a gap, you know, all the way around the, you know, all the way around the outside. But again, you kind of just, you know, live with it really. It's so much lighter, so much more space, that, you know, what you do lose on, you know, a bit of a draft, you kind of gain on weight, save space, save convenience and everything else like that. So yes, you know, you don't get any wind so much, or any drafts with that. So theoretically, I'm trying to think how I can make the Supermid win this one. So theoretically, of course, the you know, the AKTO should win that because it doesn't let drafts in. But you know, with a shelter like this, you can put things there to reduce the draft, and of course, you do want to have some airflow because, you know, some airflow is good. It helps reduce condensation a bit, maybe. So there is an advantage to, you know, some airflow. So I think in this instance we're going to say that the Supermid wins this one as well. So that's now 3-0 to the, you know, to the Supermid. We've spent time and the night in the AKTO. It's coming up to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I just thought while I've hanging around camp, I'm going to go for a short walk in a minute and then we'll come back here. But I just thought while I'm hanging around in camp, let's just carry out a few of the tests that we carried out in the AKTO. So I think, if I remember rightly, when my elbow was out at an angle, it was hitting the side, or it wasn't even quite straight. But here, quite clearly, you know, the edge is close, but it's certainly further away. Very clearly I can sit up. Indeed, not only can I sit up, but I can completely kneel. So I've still got room, you know, above my head, even from kneeling. Very clearly, given that this is a Supermid, my hand can't even reach the door. It's so far away. Foot room, I will say, is very similar. There's probably not, you know, a huge amount of difference with foot room. You just have to be careful in this one, of course, that you don't go off the edge and onto the grass, but you know, the chance of that happening is virtually non-existent, really. When you lie down, again, when you're lying down, your head is close to the wall thing, but if you remember in the other one, when I lifted up, the whole way up my head was brushing or touching. You know, in here it's not touching, it's not brushing, there's just so much more room. So sleeping living quarters, clearly this wins, and I don't even have to sort of I don't even have to sort of cheat or lie to make this win, this one. So clearly, you know, your sleeping area in here is much bigger. So that's 4-0 to the Supermid. We can make it 5-0 straight away, because very clearly you will remember that I just had a little bit of storage space here. Now clearly in here I can put things down there, I can put things here, I can put things there. So that makes it 5-0. It is like a 2-person thing, so a second person theoretically could sit there, but you know, we'll kind of like discount that, you know. So, dog space. Well, if you remember rightly, talk of the devil, if you remember, Lassie was in this space just here. Well, I can put her bed over there. So there's clearly more dog room in here. Yes, more dog room. So that's 6-0. That's 6-0. I can make it 7-0 because, as you go back, I did my filming in here on the new Submariner. So so I wouldn't be able to do that. So that's 7mm. This part, you know, I have got tons and tons of space here. So we're just going to make it 8mm just for the, you know, because we can. So that makes it 8mm. So at the moment we're kind of running at 8mm between this and the AKTO. Like I said, I'm being a bit unfair on the AKTO. It really is a nice tent, as I'm sure other coffin-like tents are. But it just shows, you know, I know you might have a tiny bit of a draft in here or something like that, but you can balance that out with other things. But the livable space is just so much better. You know, I'd rather have the drafts and have the livable space than no drafts and in a coffin almost. Okay, what I'm going to do is, it's still the afternoon of the second day, so I'm not going until tomorrow, and I've still got the AKTO and the Supermid up. But just to save me a bit of time tomorrow, and I've got a few minutes spare, and as the AKTO is drier now than it will be in the morning, and therefore it won't have the weight of water on it should it either rain, which I don't think it will, or should the, you know, get a lot of dew on it. So we're going to time how long it takes to collapse and pack away the AKTO tonight, and then we will remember the time and we will compare it to the Supermid tomorrow. Okay, so I've set the bezel marker, so we know when we started this bit here, we just undo that line there, push that out just to release the line there, then very carefully thread through this line here. I take that end of the tent, this end of the tent, we did that in about 8 minutes. Nice shot of one doggy there. If you were in a rush, you could probably get that put away, packed away in 5 minutes, but we'll say 8 minutes, because I guess on average, you know, you're not going to be running around, and the time that I was moving the camera around, you'd probably be, you know, a bit maybe slower anyway. So, you know, I reckon you would get that put away easily in about 8 minutes. Door closing. Now, obviously with the AKTO, it was simply just a matter of leaning over and you could close the door. Quite clearly, in this instance, you can't just lean over and close the door. So, you know, on the face of it, you would think that the AKTO would win this part of the contest, but it doesn't, because the AKTO is not giving you any exercise, and if you're not getting exercise, then, you know, we can't give it a point for that. So we're going to make it 9-0 for the Supermid, because the Supermid does actually mean that you have to get out of bed, burn 1 or 2 calories, or maybe half of a calorie, to get all the way over there to fully do the door up. So I do think that that is another point for the Supermid. Well, the weather hasn't picked up, or hasn't picked up outside or improved outside. It's still pretty rough and miserable, so I really don't think I'm going to get any more filming done outside. I was hoping I would film putting this away, but frankly once I'm outside I want to get things put away and get going, and it's a good job I did put the AKTO away yesterday, because that wouldn't have been so much fun in this weather. So I will let you know how long it takes, but I think we can confidently say that the Supermid wins 10 out of 10, and we were on 9. I'm sure putting it away is going to be quicker than the AKTO, so I think we can say that the Supermid won 10 out of 10 on this Tony Hobbs scale competition. You all know it's quite light-hearted fun thing, so nothing against the poor Hilleberg. It was never going to win, was it? Anyone who thought it was going to win, hold your hand up. Right, okay, well I'm going to pack up here. Like I said, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button, and who knows, maybe I'll do another versus video of one description or another, you know, in the future. Alright, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, this is the versus video. Okay, versus video. Okay, this is back to a versus video. Versus video. I'm just filming this at home as an end, because I didn't get to show this when I was camping. So this is the AKTO here, packed up. It will squish down more, but that's the AKTO, and next to it that is the Supermid with the ground sheet inside. So I think we can give the score to the Supermid. 11-0, and obviously I bring these poles to the Supermid now.